Hello, my name is Melissa Folks, and my students are third graders at Hennessy School. I've been doing Saluting New Readers for 12 years, and it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. You're in for a treat. So I hope you enjoy listening to my students read their favorite stories.
And I'll be reading Rumpelstiltskin, retold and illustrated by Paula Sky. Once there was a poor miller who had a beautiful daughter. On his way to town one day, the miller encountered the king. Wanting to impress him, the miller said, "I have a daughter who knows the art of spinning straw into gold." Now the king had a passion for gold, and such an art intrigued him, so he ordered the miller to send his daughter to the castle straight away. When the girl was brought before him, the king led her to a room that was filled with straw. He gave her spools and a spinning wheel and said, "You may spin all night, but if you have not spun the straw into gold by morning, you will have to die." With that, he locked the door, and the girl was left inside alone. There sat the poor miller's daughter without the slightest idea how anyone can spin straw into gold. For the life of her, she said she did not know what to do. She grew more and more frightened, and then she began to weep. Suddenly the door sprang open, and a tiny man stepped in. "Good evening, Mrs. Miller," he said. "Why are you sobbing?" "Oh," the girl cried, "I must spin the straw into gold, and I don't know how." "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" the little man asked. "My necklace," answered the girl. The little man took her necklace and sat down at the spinning wheel. He pulled 3 times. Whir, whir, whir. Thank you for listening to me read. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Tyler, and I'm going to be reading Big Balloon Festival. Story by Jenny Dills, illustrated by Jackson Moon and Jane Wynn. "Never mind," said Mom. "We can see some of the balloons from here. There they go over the trees. The balloons look beautiful. They float through the clear blue sky and soar high above the trees and houses." "There's one that looks like a birthday cake," shouted Sally, "and there's one that's once a television, but we really wanted to see them lifting off," said Lauren sadly. "That's the best part of the festival. We must get to the park," said Paul, looking worried. "We have to get our balloon lunches before the sun gets too hot. The traffic is starting to move again," said Dad. "We can all get on our way, but most of the balloons will have gone by the time we get there," said Lauren. Debbie turned to the girls. "Would you like to help us inflate our balloon?" she asked. "We could use some extra hands." "Oh, yes," cried Lauren and Sally. "Yes, please. I'll give you some tickets, Debbie. Then you can get to the lift-off area. We'll meet you down at the park," called Mom as they all drove away. Soon they were all busy swinging the balloon out of the grass. They had to be very careful with the way when they unrolled it. Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm going to be reading The Five Chinese Brothers. I hope you enjoy my reading. Once upon a time, there were 5 Chinese brothers, and they all looked exactly alike. They lived with their mother in a little house not far from the sea. The first Chinese brother could swallow the sea. The second Chinese brother had an iron neck. The third Chinese brother could stretch and stretch and stretch his legs. The fourth Chinese brother could not be burned, and the fifth Chinese brother could hold his breath infinitely. Every morning, the first Chinese brother would go fishing. Whatever the weather, he would come back to the village with beautiful and rare fish, which he had caught and could sell at the market for a very good price. One day, as he was leaving the market, the little boy stopped him and asked him if he could go fishing with him. No, it could not be done, said the first Chinese brother. But the little boy begged and begged, and finally the first Chinese brother consisted. Under one condition, said he, and that is that you shall obey me permanently. Yes, yes, the little boy promised. Early next morning, the first Chinese brother and the little boy went down to the beach. Remember, said the first Chinese brother, you must obey me permanently. When I make a sign for you to come back, you must come at once. Yes, yes, the little boy promised. Then the first Chinese brother swallowed the sea. And the fish were left high and dry at the bottom of the sea, and all the treasure of the sea lay uncovered. The little boy was delighted. He ran here and there, stuffing his pockets with strange pebbles and extraordinary shells and fantastic alligators. Near the shore, the first Chinese brother gathered some fish while he kept holding the sea in his mouth. Thank you for listening to me read. I hope you enjoyed my reading.
Hi, my name is Sierra. I'll be reading The House Goblin. A fellow named Truly was grumbling about his bad luck. Either his potatoes grew small or his roof leaked, or his pig broke out of her sty and rooted up his cabbages. He was sure he was the unluckiest person in the world. Truly kept a long-legged yellow cat named Gladstake, and whenever his master fummed and fretted, Gladstake did his best to set him straight. Now listen to me, Truly, said the cat. Which would you rather have, small potatoes or none? A roof with a leak or a leak without a roof? It's the nature of a pig to break out of a sty, as it is the nature of a sty to be broken out of you. Your luck is no better nor worse than anyone else's, so let it be and go about your business. But Truly would have none of that. No, it's luck I need. The friendly folk have it. If only I could lay hold of one of them. That's when you'd see things look up. So he began each night setting a basin of milk and some bread and cheese on his doorstep to draw one of the friendly folk. But first along came a thunderstorm and curled the milk. Then a crow flew down and made off with the bread and cheese. At last he put out a jug of cider and kipper for all Gladstake's, telling him it was a waste of good food and drink. And sure enough, next morning when Truly opened his door, there was a round-bellied, round-cheeked little man in a green leather jacket, tucking into the kipper and washing it down with the cider as fast as he could swallow. Here's the luck, come at last, shouted Truly. Oh, Your Honor, I am glad to see you. I just can't feel the luck stream already. Stir it is, said the fat little creature, sucking into. Go stir me some porridge and put a nice lump of butter in it. 2 lumps. Thank you for listening to me read.
Everybody in Triple Creek loved their TV sets. No one could remember a time when there wasn't a TV in every home, nor could they remember when there wasn't watching TV. Their TVs were always on, while they ate their meals, while they worked, while they played, while they slept. They even kept photos of their TVs on their mantles along with all the pictures of their family members. Everyone loved their TVs except Elle's Aunt Triplet. Aunt Chip, as Elle called her, didn't even own a TV. As a matter of fact, she had never owned one. This made her suspect in her eyes of the townsfolk of Triple Creek, especially since she had up and taken to her bed well over 50 years ago and vowed never to get out of it again. No one knew why, really. There was some talk about it, and it happened just about the time the huge TV tower was built over on Tedder and Elk. I'm talking to my bed, ain't never getting up again. They say she shot it out of her window, but there will be consequences. Mark my words, there will be consequences, and she settled in her elder down. Elle loved her Aunt Chiplet very much in spite of her strange ways. He visited her almost every day. He especially loved when she would start into one of her great stories, like the one about the little kid in Holland who held back the sea by putting his thumb in the dike, or his favorite about a great white whale that lived in the deepest, darkest part of the ocean. Where do all these stories come from, Aunt Chip? He asked one day. Some come out of thin air. Some come out of my dreams. Some come out of write books. Books? Elle thought for a long time. How do you get a story from a book? Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Ruth Battenfeld, and I'm going to be reading all about alligators. Alligators, turtles, snakes, and lizards are reptiles. Reptiles are cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded means that these animals control their body temperature, not from within as we do, but by moving to a warmer or cooler place. The alligator's closest relative, the crocodile, has a much narrower snout, top side, underside. Here's what an alligator looks like on the top and on the underside. Alligators have a third eyelid, which is transfer for seeing underwater. An alligator's ears are hidden inside flaps of skin behind the eyes. Flaps of skin behind it. All of alligators' teeth are sharply pointed for holding on to prey. Alligators can be either green, blue-gray, or black in color. Alligators have huge, powerful jaws for grasping prey, animals that are hunted and eaten by other animals. Alligators are semi-aquatic, which means they spend nearly half their time in the water. Alligators inhabit rivers, lakes, canals, marshes, swamps, and ponds. The watery limb of the American alligator, actual size of an alligator hatchling. A female alligator may bury as many as 60 eggs in her nest of rounded up grass, leaves, and mud. Alligators' eggs are hatched by the heat of the sun. The eggs hatch in 9 weeks. This is actual size of an alligator egg, with a peak of how a 10-inch alligator might fit inside. Thank you for listening to me read. And I hope you
My name is Caleb, and I'm going to be reading all about alligators. I hope you enjoy me read. When stalking prey, an alligator swims with most of its body submerged. only its eyes and sometimes its nostrils are above the water. The victim is underwear that it is being stalked until the alligator strikes. No matter how slow or lazy an alligator looks, it can spring into action with surprising speed. Alligators can run very fast for short distances. They can slide quickly down mud banks. And alligators can climb over things, even one another. Normally, alligators do not attack humans, but they have been known to do so. Alligators must kill to eat. Large hungry alligators will grab any living thing that looks like prey, even you. In wildlife refuges where alligators roam freely, stay near an adult whenever you are in alligator country. Be watchful near water. If you spot an alligator in the wild, do not approach it. Remember how fast an alligator can be if it wants to. Alligators play an important role in the wetlands, where they live by dredging up muck and vegetations to build waterways clear. Thank you for listening to me read.
I hope you enjoyed it.
My name is Celia Cruz and I'm going to be reading A Birthday for Francis. I hope you enjoy it. Albert was the first friend to arrive, and he and Francis sat down in the living room while they were waiting for Ida. "What are you giving Gloria?" Francis asked Albert. "A little teeny tiny box, a little teeny tiny truck and a little teeny tiny box," said Albert. "The kind that cost 50 cents, said Francis. "That's right," said Albert, "but my mother gave me money for it." "I'm thinking of giving Gloria a chum bar," said Francis, "but I'm not sure. I might and I might not. I had to spend almost 2 whole allowances on it." "That's how it's when it's your own sister's," said Albert. "I had to spend my allowance money on my little sister when she had a birthday. I gave her a yo-yo, but she isn't high enough for the ground for a yo-yo, so I got to use it. Little sisters are not so much RVSM, said Francis. "Good," said Albert. "That's right," said Francis. "No, they are not," said Albert. "They can't catch, they can't throw. When you play hide and go seek, they always hide in places where the part of them is sticking out." "They take your sand pail and your shovel too," said Francis. "They pull on the button eyes off the dolls that have button eyes. They break your crayons so there are no long ones left in the box. They put water in your mud pies when you don't want them to. I don't think many of them deserve a chum bar. You can't use a chum bar over." Thank you for listening to me read.
My name is Mateo Kiesner. I'm going to be reading Hop on Top. Sad dad, bad hag. Dad is sad, very, very sad. He had a bad day. What
a day Dad had. Sing what is that thing? Sing that thing can sing. Long song, a long song, goodbye sing. You sing too long. Walk, we like to walk. Talk, we like to talk. Hop, we like to hop on top. We like to hop on top of top. Stop, you must not hop on top. Mr. Brown, Mrs. Brown. Mr. Brown upside down. Up, pup up, brown down. Pup is up. Pup is down. Where is brown? Where is brown? Where is brown? Mr. Brown is out of town. Black, black, back, black. Brown came back. Thank you for listening to me read.
My name is Kiara and I'm going to be reading Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve. Through the ruckus and dinner, the littlest troll spied the ice bear under the stove. He took a hot morsel of sausage that he had been roasting in the fire and screeched, "Have a bit of sausage, Kitty," and he poked the sleeping bear's nose with it. The ice bear leaped up with a tremendous roar, his nose burning terribly. Growling, he chased the little troll and all the big trolls around the table, up the wall and out of the windows. Scratch them, Kitty. Kiri and the boy cheered as they watched the trolls scramble off through the ice and snow high. Up on the hill, Kiri's father heard the shout, so he raced down on his skis. When he saw the trolls, Kiri's father could tell in an instant that they wanted to be as far away from the little hut as they could be. "Goodbye, trolls," he shouted as they disappeared up the mountain and he skied home. "What a fine bear you have," he told the boy from Finmark. "Thank you for scaring away those pesky trolls. You must come back next year for a real Christmas Eve feast on your way home from Oslo." And they all sat down for some poetry. A year later, Kiri was on the mountain gathering wood to make the fire to cook their dinner for. Thank you for listening to me read.
My name is Leanne and I'm going to be reading Kangaroos Have Pouches, Another Animal. Which is the biggest baby in the world? The baby blue whale is a real whopper, weighing up to 3 tons. That's as much as
is 1,000 human babies. As soon as it is born, its mom nudges it to the surface to take a first breath of air. A baby blue whale is as long as 5 scuba divers swimming tip to toe. The baby howler monkeys and champion scream and cries can be heard even through thick rainforests. Which is the tallest baby? A baby giraffe is about 6 feet tall. That's taller than most grown-up people. The mother giraffe is taller still and gets what's standing up. Her new baby hits the ground feet first. Ouch! It's a long way to fall. The young dragonfly must be one of the fiercest babies it lives in the rivers and lakes and grabs almost anything that moves with its spiky jaws. Which is the ugliest baby? One of the ugliest looking babies is the turkey vulture, which is with its big hook beak and bare head and neck. But then its parents aren't beautiful either. Maybe it's come from eating all that rotten meat. Why do pandas have one baby at a time? A mother giant panda gives her cub so much love and attention that she can only cope with one at a time. By taking care of her cub for a year or more, she is helping to make sure that her baby survives. There are many pandas in the world. Zookeepers fly their pandas around the world so that they can meet other pandas and hopefully such animals lay hundreds of eggs. Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Emilio. And I'll be reading a Ballad of the Civil War. You weren't gone a minute, for each child had himself a play toy. Did Aaron get the drum? Where is he? She pursed her lips, started off, turned back. Aaron won't take that drum, no how. Why, Tom burst out, you best give up pottering on Aaron. He gone out to the fields alongside of his daddy. Don't want nothing to do with you all up to the big house anymore. He been bad hurt, don't do a bit of good. Bring a child up in the big house there, toss him out, used up goods. But I didn't. Don't matter who did what, it did got done. Young Tom, you put Aaron out of your mind. He done put you out of his shoo. Tom walked slowly away. This time he did not look back. He wanted to be home with his brother. The old woman said Aaron was hurt. Bad, well, I'm hurt too. Tom said to himself, bad, and Aaron should have understood better. Should have understood me better. He'd not go to the quarter again. Daily, Tom and Jack rode on their merry wooden hobby horses. They had named them Pompety and Bridgeadder. Jack now seemed quiet, resigned to playing at cavalry officers, men at arms, princesses of the blood knights of the Round Table. They cantered across broad grassy lawns, through a neat-smelling boxwood maze, and beside a slender, downish river that frolicked its way toward a foam of step falls downstream. Thank you for listening to me read. I hope you enjoyed.
Hi, my name is Chloe, and I'm going to be reading If You Take a Mouse to the Movies. If you take a mouse to the movies, he'll ask you for some popcorn. When you give him the popcorn, he'll want to string it all together. Then he'll want to hang it on a Christmas tree. You'll have to buy him one On the way home, he'll see a snowman in your neighbor's yard. He'll want to make one of his own. Then he'll need a carrot for a nose. When he's all finished, he'll decide to build a fort. He'll ask you to help him. Then he'll want to make some snowballs and have a snowball fight. Playing outside will make him cold. He'll want to go inside and curl up in the couch. He'll ask you for a blanket. Once he's nice and cozy, he'll want to listen to some Christmas carols. You'll have to find some on the radio. He'll probably sing along. The carols will remind him of his Christmas tree, so he'll want to make ornaments. You'll get him some paper and glue. He'll ask you for some glitter. When the ornaments are done, he'll hang them all up. Then he'll stand back to look at the tree. He'll notice that his popcorn string is missing. So he'll want to make another one. He'll ask you for some popcorn and chances for when you give him the popcorn. Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Macy, and I'm going to be reading Where the Wild Things Are. I hope you enjoy me reading. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and garnished their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and templed them with the magic trick of startling all their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. And now, cried Max, the wild things rumbled start. Now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around from far away across the world he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. Thank you for listening to me read.
And I'm going to be reading Big Al. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend. Some had many, but Big Al had none. He didn't really blame other fish. How can he expect a little fish to trust a great big fish with eyes, skin, and teeth like his? So Big Al was lonely and cried big salty tears into the big salty sea. Big Al really wanted friends, so he worked at it. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else did. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant with big sharp teeth? Then he thought if he puffed himself up all around, other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. But all they saw was how big he could be, and they steered clear. Very early one morning, Big Al went down to the bottom and flopped and wiggled himself to the sand until he was almost covered up. He looked much smaller. Other fish came near. Big Al talked a joke with them and had a delightful time. But then one scratch, a little grain of sand got stuck in his gills, and he sneezed. When the clouds cleared, all the fish were gone. But Big Al changed his color one day, so he looked like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling like just one of the crowd, but was so big and clumsy when all the tiny fish started to the left and right, then quickly back to the right. Big Al just plowed straight ahead and went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were gone, and Big Al was sadder than ever. Just when Big Al was starting to be sure that he was never gonna get a single friend, something happened. Thank you for listening to me read.
Hi, my name is Miguel, and I'm going to be reading Saturday Night at the Dinosaur Store. I hope you enjoy me reading. Word went out across the prehistoric slide. Hey dinosaurs, it's rock and roll time. Slick back your scales and get ready to rock on Saturday Night at the Dinosaur Store. By the lava beds and the carpet shore, on the mountaintop and the rainforest floor, dinosaurs scrubbed their necks, and now they brushed their teeth and curled their tails. Then, ready, set, go. They cramped their trunks, making dinosaur tracks while the dinosaurs stomped. Plesiosaurus paddled up with a splash. The pterodactyl family flew in for a dash. Protoceratops brought along her eggs. Diplodocus plodded on big fat legs. A batch of bouncing babies followed Mama Maya soar. The last time she counted, she had 24. The old ones gathered in a gossiping bunch, sitting and sipping sweet swamp water punch. Dinosaurs giggled and chuckled and stared, ready to party but a little bit scared. And then Iguanodon shouted, 1, 2, 3, started up the band by waving a tree. Brachio, Super, and Ultrasaurus sang, Doot Bop, a Loot Bop, and a chorus. Ankylosaurus drummed on his hard shell back, boomalaka, whack, whack, whack. Pentaceratops stood up to perform and blasted a tune on his favorite horn. They played in rhythm, they sang in rhyme, dinosaur music and dinosaur time. Ecto thought he'd take a chance, asked Allosaurus if she'd like to dance. Brachio winked at a Stegosaurus she liked. They danced together, spike to spike. Thank you for listening to me read.
Ho, 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 ho! Hey!
My name is Devin. I'm going to be reading The Seven Chinese Brothers. I hope you enjoy my reading. The seven brothers lived very happily together, and the seventh brother never once had anything to cry about. But one day, as they worked on their hillside, first brother lifted his head with his amazing ears on either side of it, and said, I can hear such moaning and groaning 100 miles away by the Great Wall of China. Second brother, take a look and tell me what all the trouble is about. Second brother turned his far-seeing eyes towards the Great Wall. Aye, aye, he cried, there's an enormous hole in the Great Wall of China. I see 100 poor men working day and night and day. They look so tired and weak. Perhaps they are not allowed to sleep or eat until the hole in the Great Wall of China is repaired. I can't bear it, cried the seventh brother, who was always hungry himself. He looked as if he might begin to cry. Simply, with a poor, hard-working man, don't cry, said the third brother quickly. I'll go and help them. Off he went as quickly as he could, and got there in a half a minute, less than no time. He set to work once at tossing great stones from one hand to the other as if they were feathers. By the time darkness came, the hole was completely filled. Then third brother lay down to take a nap. But when the emperor heard that a single man had repaired the hole in one afternoon, he was not grateful indeed. He looked very worried. Thank you for listening to me read. I hope you enjoyed it.
What do you love? Reading! And where do you go to school?
Hennessy Elementary School!
And what grade are you in?
3rd grade!
And who's the best teacher in the whole world? Let's hear it from Mrs. Folks. And let's hear it for reading. Hey! Hip hip hooray! Yeah.
I work with severely handicapped 18 to 22-year-olds. I can understand the fear and the struggles they go through.
Christy Klontz struggles with reading and writing.
My dad would do things like hand me a dictionary, and because I couldn't spell, and he'd say, "Here, find the word." And I would tell him, "Dad, I can't find the word. They all look the same." I remember in elementary school being sick, not able to go to school. I would get a stomach ache or make up excuses why I couldn't go to school. I was officially diagnosed when I was 40 years old that I'm dyslexic and I have a visual processing disorder. That was actually really a relief that because all your life you hear, "Oh, you're just lazy, you're not trying hard enough." He apologized to me and he said, "You know what, I'm really sorry." And that was very healing for me. I mean, life is hard. And I know a lot of people have had a hard life, but when you start reading and writing and educating yourself, things do get better. I would never, ever imagine I would be where I'm at now, especially going to college. It is so worth it to do it. It's not fast, but it's worth it. You can stand a little straighter and feel good, like you can take on the world.
Libraries change lives.
Do you know someone who needs help with their reading or writing skills? A relative, friend, or employee? Do them a tremendous favor. Encourage them to contact the Nevada County Library Literacy Service. We help adults improve their reading and writing ability through free, confidential one-on-one tutoring. Call us at 470-2772 here in Nevada City. Again, that's 470-2772.
The quest for immortality, the desire to extend the certainties of life beyond the grave, is as old as Egypt itself. The pyramids at Giza, the wonders of the ancient world, were not just designed as the pharaoh's last resting place. They were the first stop on a long night's journey to everlasting life. By 1550 BC, power had shifted to a new kingdom, 500 miles south in the ancient city of Thebes, now called Luxor. To the west, in the hills beyond the Nile's west bank, the royal tombs of the Valley of the Kings were cut into limestone cliffs. Their interiors are richly decorated with hieroglyphs and paintings, signs and symbols that detail the necessary steps to attain immortality. In the minds of the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh's power and authority as a king stretched far beyond the boundaries of his country and into the cosmos itself. After death, he would escape the earthly bounds of his tomb, board a solar boat, and sail into immortality. After a perilous and carefully prescribed journey through the night, the king would be reborn as the sun god, Re. The cosmological landscape of the life after death was rich with deities, hundreds in number. Osiris, ruler and judge of the dead in the underworld, a powerful figure in ancient Egyptian cosmology. Hathor, sky goddess, protector of the sun at night. The jackal, Anubis, guardian of the body, its divine embalmer and protector. The falcon-headed Horus, god of the sky and the embodiment of divine kingship. Isis, patroness of magic and queen of the sky. The supreme deity, the sun god Re, was believed to die each night. He is rejuvenated each day in the form of the scarab beetle. The beetle seemed an apt symbol of rebirth because its eggs were laid in dung, the ultimate form of death and nothingness, and nonetheless sprang into the preciousness of new life. The road to new and eternal life began with mummification, an attempt to preserve the body as an eternal vessel for the soul. These practices continued for centuries. In the mid-5th century BC, the Greek historian Herodotus detailed the process of embalming.
First, with a crooked iron tool, they draw out the brain through the nostrils. After this, they make a cut along the side and take out the whole contents of the belly. Then they fill the belly with myrrh and sew it together again. They keep it covered up in natron salts for 70 days.
Ornamental plaques covered the incision made when the vital organs were removed. After embalming, mummies of kings and the upper echelons of Egyptian society were elaborately dressed with mummy nets and intricate jewelry, their faces covered with luminous masks. Fully prepared and adorned, the mummies were then placed in coffins. They were made from precious metals or carved and gilded woods. The mummy was now prepared for its westward journey across the Nile.
The west side of the Nile is, for the Egyptians, is of course where the sun sets, where the journey to the next world starts. To be on the west side is directly related to the fact that the sun's journey is what we're following. At the end of each day, the sun sets in the west and then travels backwards to the eastern horizon to rise the next morning.
Tucked beneath a peak called El Kern that may have appealed to them because of its resemblance to a pyramid, the pharaohs of the New Kingdom began to construct a cemetery of royal tombs carved into the limestone hillsides. Nearby, a set of smaller tombs began to take shape. Final resting place for nobles whose service to the king was acknowledged by close access to their master for eternity. The tomb of Senefer, mayor of Thebes, depicts Senefer and his wife united eternally in the afterlife. On the ceilings, arbors heavy with ripening grapes evoke the vineyards of Osiris, a source of vitality and regeneration in the next world. Judging by the scenes of funeral processions in the tomb of the noble Ramosa, the bereaved dealt with the expression of grief much as we do today. But there was a major difference. Egyptians bearing offerings, food, wine, clothing, furniture, joined the funeral procession. Representations of these provisions weren't just pictures. Egyptians believed what they depicted would come into being.
I think it's important when you look at objects from an Egyptian tomb, including the decorations on the walls and the mummy itself, and even the elements of food and furniture, to remember that all of it was functional. Everything was intended to function magically in the next world.
The tombs also included Usheptis, small lifelike figures that performed work for the deceased, acting as their servants in the afterworld. Boats to carry the king through the netherworld were also common in royal tombs. Funerary texts, guidebooks to the land beyond life, were a long tradition in Egypt. The Book of the Dead was a collection of spells, sometimes inscribed on coffins and sarcophagi, to help the deceased make his way to the ideal world.
The Egyptian had a fixed idea of the landscape. He had his Nile Valley with its canals and the bordering desert, and of course he imagined that in the beyond it would look about the same. But he imagined the possibilities in the beyond to be simply greater. That, for example, all the flaws connected with the body would be smoothed out, that the grains would grow much taller. Therefore it would be an improved life, really. Imperfections in this life would be healed in the afterlife.
The New Kingdom's addition to the funerary literature, a text called the Amduat, detailed the pharaoh's long nighttime journey into oneness with the sun god Re. The Amduat, literally translated it means that which is in the netherworld, is a guidebook to the afterlife, and a secret text primarily reserved for the use of pharaohs. It was reproduced in full on the walls of the tomb of Thutmose III, who died in 1425 BC. The black script written against a lighter background suggests a giant papyrus wrapped around the burial chamber walls. It tells the story of a journey through uncertainty where time and space merge.
For the Egyptians, the notion of trying to turn time, that is 12 hours of night, into space is very complicated. The way they did it was to identify each hour with a particular region, so that as you moved through your hour, you were moving through a particular area associated with it, and then you'd move into the next hour and be in a different geographical region.
To begin his journey, the pharaoh unites with the sun god and boards the solar boat. During the 12 nocturnal hours, they sail from dusk to dawn, from death to resurrection. In hour 1, the sun god appears as a ram-headed figure symbolizing the soul of the sun, and as a beetle, a symbol of the hoped-for dawn. He's greeted in the netherworld with jubilation. Deities raise their arms as he brings light into the underworld. The regions of the first 3 hours are fertile lands fed by an underground Nile. But as the river dries up and the boat descends into desert regions, the sun god encounters obstacles and overcomes his arch-enemy, the powerful serpent Apophis. In the depths of the underworld, the sun god's soul reunites with his corpse, bringing light and eternal life, not just to the king, but to all the blessed dead. Throughout the nocturnal turmoil, the pharaoh as sun god is protected by hundreds of deities who fend off enemies with a mixture of magic and force. In the 12th and final hour of the Amduat, the journey through primeval darkness ends as the sun rises in the east and the sun god is reborn. The fully fledged Re emerges as a beetle flying into the arms of the god Shu, who will lift the sun up to daylight. The Amduat and the vast array of funerary accoutrements protected the deceased and ensured his safe passage to eternal life. The pharaoh's successful navigation of the netherworld resulted in more than his own rebirth as the sun god. By ensuring that the life-giving sun would rise each dawn, the journey promised all Egyptians that day would follow night and that life as they knew it would continue.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
In today's economy, I check my credit annually. You can do it too for free. Under the law, it's guaranteed. AnnualCreditReport.com, the one you can depend upon. Other sites may turn your head, they say they're free. Don't be misled. Once you're in their tangled web, they'll sell you something else instead. AnnualCreditReport.com, the one you can depend upon. All the others charge a fee. Read the fine print and you'll see that's the harsh reality. I should know cause it happened to me. For truly free credit reports, there's only one authorized source. AnnualCreditReport.com, the one you can depend upon.
AnnualCreditReport.com. No hidden fees, absolutely free.
Thank you for watching Nevada County Television, your community station providing local individuals and organizations a venue for public expression and the exercise of free speech. NCTV provides development in media literacy and video production training, as well as providing the facilities needed to produce local community programming. All at NCTV are proud that the growth of Nevada County's own TV station now includes South County and Truckee. So from all at NCTV, thank you for watching.
The way people do this, and I see a lot of it even in this old Ballard neighborhood here, is they'll come in and find a house, and particularly a house that's in pretty rough condition like this one was, and they'll tear it down.